Episode 10. So is this our first one? This is our first one of 2026, right?
Yep, it is.
Because we missed last week.
Yep.
Because I couldn't do last week. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. So definitely, I don't know how everybody else feels, and people feel differently for different reasons, but 2025 was one of my most favorite years and significantly one of my not so favorite years at the same time. So it started out with not so great news, but it ended with amazing news. So hold on to the positive. Let the positive continue to carry me through. But definitely looking forward to everything that comes in this year. And I don't ever do like New Year's resolutions, or like I don't ever like set goals, or I've never done that. I know there's value in it, and I know people benefit from doing it and all that stuff, but it's just never been something I've felt. I think because I live so in the moment.
Mhm.
And I think that's why my memory stinks too, because I live so in the moment. That I knew, like, personally for me, if I set goals and like time frames and when I was going to achieve them, that would seem like way too much work, and I just wouldn't do it anyways. So I've never done that. How about you? Like, have you ever done New Year's resolutions or goal setting, or I want to do this by like March 1st, or anything like that?
So first and foremost, like, I never knew that about you, Colleen. Like, I always thought that you did set goals, right? Like, so when you said that, I was like, huh, that is so interesting to me. And I do actually. So, but I've kind of switched it. I don't do like the New Year resolutions, like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do this and I'm not going to eat this, or I'm not going to, why? Right? There's so much hubbub with all that. And then by the fucking second week of the year, or the second month of the year, you're right back to doing the same shit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was no reason to jump on that bandwagon. And even like back, I mean, gosh, like in 20s and my teens, like I even did that too. I was like, well, why? Right? Like, what's the point? But this year I actually switched up my goals. I've always tried to set certain goals for myself of the year, but my biggest thing was setting unrealistic ones, right? And then strapping myself to them, like the time frames and the deadlines and all that. That all felt like I was buckling myself in to a runaway train. I don't know why, but that's just what popped into my head. You know what I mean? Like it felt so like impossible. And I didn't really realize that until last year. I was like, why do I feel like so hesitant to set myself goals? Well, unbeknownst to like the worth and all of that, it's a lot because of the deadlines, the time frames, the goal expectations that I put on them, to where it was like, wait a second. So this year's goals, honestly, like, I knew that I knew I did them the right way. Well, the right way, right? Air quotes, big time. The best way for myself, when my inner critic said, wow, these aren't very high. Because I'm like so used to setting those high expectations for myself that this year I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm going to ease myself into it. And something that I do along with setting my goals is I do journal. Actually, I started this when 2022 with sticky chicken fat that you gave me. I actually started releasing and journaling things that I was not carrying with me. Things that I didn't want to carry with me into the new year. And then I would do my goals from that too. But like I said, this year it was completely, I still said, this is not what I'm bringing in. This is not what I want. This is, I still left 25 in 25. But then for the goals, like, I really shifted it this year, and honestly, like, I've been hitting them. I've been doing the work every single day to do them. So, I mean, I don't know, Colleen. I feel really good about it. I don't like you said, 2025 was, man, like, it wasn't like a bad year, but it was one of those years that it was like, whoa, like what the fuck was that? In a way, like it was just one of those years that I remember, like I think I'll always remember myself as like gripping, like just trying to fucking figure out what was happening. But I mean, I'm excited for 2026. I know you shared with me about like it being the year of the horse or something like that. Like, I don't know. I just, it feels good. It feels good to step into it,
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels different from all the other years. And I don't mean that in like a cliche way. It just feels like, okay, we're going to breathe. There's some new insight, it's another year older, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's more wisdom there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
But no, like when you sent me that year of the horse thing, I was like, yeah, I relate to that too. But at the same time, like I'm still like, wait a second, what's happening? Like, but I mean, we're getting there, but I find that very, very interesting that you don't set goals just because of like with what you do as a social worker, but then again, like with the life coaching aspect of it too, I'm like, Colleen, like, but I think it's really cool because like you said, I don't want to strap myself down. You live in the moment. And I think a lot of people, the more that people do understand living in that moment and strapping yourself down to those unrealistic deadlines, like understanding what that is, like I think that plays a key point into it too, So in a way,
Yeah.
I'm like, like a little bit of motivation, like live more in the moment so you're not setting all of these goals, you know what I mean? Because that in itself is a goal, right?
Yeah, I definitely am not a creature of habit. Like I do not like systems. I do not like today's the day I do this, today's the day I do this, today's it like I do not like that. Um I don't I don't like chaos and I don't like flying by the seat of my pants either, but I don't like rigidity. Like if that makes sense. So, yes, there's some systems that I have in place. Like I don't, if I lived by myself, I could care less when I did my laundry, but I have to share the machine with two other people. So, I need to kind of know because I have very limited clothes on by design. So, if I'm on day 4 of my pants and I only have 5 days of pants, like I need to make sure my laundry's done. So it is pretty much consistently like the same day of the week that I do that, only because that's necessity. But everything else, like other than just showing up for work and doing what I have to do for work, like I do not respond well to the pressures of you have to do this on this day because this is the day that you set to do this. Like I just don't respond well to that. And it's funny because in my family, there's a lot of people that have anxiety. There's a lot of people that have ADHD, like the two pretty, like my father had ADHD, like he was like the poster child for what ADHD was before ADHD was, right? Um, and I definitely have some tendencies, but I definitely don't fit the criteria for a full-blown diagnosis of that. Um, so it's interesting. It's interesting to see like why don't I like this? Why do I like this? Why am I, like what all of these pieces that make up me as a person, where do I get it from? Is it, you know, was it learned? Is it inherently who I am? And obviously we can change almost anything we want to change as far as like habits and behaviors and all that stuff. But yeah, no, everything that I, almost everything that I recommend and work with people, um, is everything that I don't do. I believe that it works and I know that it works. I just know it doesn't work for me, which might actually benefit the people that I work with because I don't have a cookie cutter approach. Like you have to do this to see these results. I have a few tried and true things I believe in, but it's not because I don't believe in the other 10,000 things that someone could do. But I also don't have a cookie cutter approach to things either. So,
Well, and I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. You know, like, I think that doing one thing, or I think what you just said, right? You know what it takes to build that routine for someone, right? And when we're there and you're helping somebody do that, you're able to see those pieces, right? Because you're helping them find what truly works best for them, you know? And I completely agree with that, because what works for me doesn't work for you, and what works for you doesn't work for me, right?
yep.
So I think, of course, you have to allow that, but understanding their limits, you know? And like the prime example of this, for those of you watching, I asked Colleen a question yesterday about like how do I shock myself enough to know, like, hey, you can breathe now, relax, you took your step, you know, like how do I, because like, and Colleen knows this, but I will share a little bit of pieces with you. Like I've been getting to that point, you know, of like, okay, physical touching, like here's your stop, you know, you did this, now pause and breathe, you know, and sometimes that works, but other times switching from task to task and moving and acknowledging the fact that, okay, you just did this, you know, that was a big step. Take what's that word? Take accountability and see what you did, you know, and then, you know, move on and kind of like exhale in between all of that, right? Like I'm trying to find the right words for that process. But I asked Colleen about this yesterday, and she's like, cold works really well. And okay, I hope you guys can see her, but you probably can't. She is laughing, smiling. Because Demi does not like the cold. I can't stand the cold. I don't like being cold. And when she said that, I'm like, shit, because I knew, I was so afraid she was going to say that, because deep down, you know, this is your intuition speaking. You know, your intuition's like, hey, cold works. You know, you don't think about ice just because it's ice, you know, and you're like, ugh. So I took what Colleen said, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm getting in an ice cold shower, you know?
Heck no, like an ice cube in your palms.
Like, yeah, that's where that's the next step, because then I decided, well, if I don't want to put my whole body in ice, what if I just put my face in ice?
Yep.
I think about the times of like when you wash your face, like I always start with warm water, right? But then I always end it with cold water. You know, I don't know why. I don't know who told me to do that, but that's just what Demi has always done. And
because
I know
it closes your pores after you have to use hot water. The cold water closes, in theory, closes your pores. Someone probably told you that.
Someone did tell me that. I can't tell you who, but
Yeah.
that's exactly probably what it was. But I remember that feeling of like after, and I don't know how to explain that, but I'm like, okay, if I can get that feeling for just a brief, like 5-second, like, you know, I wonder what 10 to 15 seconds of just ice water on my face would do, you know? So then I stuck my face in the biggest bowl that I have in my kitchen, filled to the brim with ice water. And I was really mad at myself, Colleen. I was fucking angry because I'm like, God damn it, I'm fucking cold now. And I was cold everywhere, you know? But then I'm like, wait a second. Like I started to stop, you know, and not in the ways that I used to before, you know, and let me explain that. Before I would be outside, like walking the dogs or going to the bus stop, and my body would just lock up. Okay. 2 different types of cold. Right. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like I could breathe, you know, and not like a fast paced breathe, like actually like, okay, you know, like I started to see that relief. And then I'm like, I'm not sticking my fucking face in that ice water again though. It's too cold. So then I started researching different ways. And I'm like, oh, I could hold an ice cube. Oh, I could put just an ice cube back here to my vagus nerve. Oh, I didn't see what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to go stick your whole self in a fucking gallon tank of ice. You don't got to do that, especially if
Yep.
you're like me and you lock up with that shit. You know, I don't think it's really good for your body to tent that quickly, you know, especially for those of you that are still trying to get your nervous systems just to be like, you know, but I think that there's ways and tricks to make this work best for you, just like Colleen was saying, you know, like,
Yep.
and that's exactly what I would hope that somebody would take from the advice that either Colleen or myself give, you know, take what resonates with you, you know, like, well, cold works really well, even though I'm like, fuck, you know, but hey, we made it work, you know. I mean, I love it, Colleen, and I think that's what makes life coaching. No, I don't even want to put like a label to whatever coaching it is. You know, I don't care if you are a offer coach teaching people how to build their own custom offers. I don't care if you're a content coach, a life coach, a fucking energy coach. I don't give a shit what it is. I think your ability to see the pieces and look at your client and see them for who they are and offer pieces that you know that could help them, you know. And I know sometimes that feels like, hey, try this, hey, try this, hey, try this, you know, like I get that. But at the same time, like that's building something within that client, you know. You could give them 3 different things for them to try, and they could take piece C from option 1, piece B from option 2, and piece A from option 3, and piece together their own piece. Like that's the beauty of it, right?
Yep.
That was my whole tangent. I don't know where I was going with it, but I liked it.
Another thing you can do with the cold too, if you don't want to do like ice cubes, is you could throw a rock in the freezer. Just hold a rock. You could throw a crystal in the freezer. Just hold the crystal. Like if you don't want the wetness, you know, I mean, you could put an ice pack on your chest, like cold face cloth on your neck, cold face, like absolutely. Cold is really good for stopping and resetting, you know, definitely. But is it going to work for everyone? Is everyone going to want to do it? No. That's why, you know, that was just the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me that. You know, like if you had said like, well, I don't want to do cold, but what else you got? I probably would have told you 5 or 6 more things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, you could try this, or you could try this, you know. And it that brings me to the topic of how, so when you're in a profession of having to be there for somebody else, and this can cross over to relationships too, but when you're in the profession of being there for somebody else in any sort of service-based profession, it's really difficult to show up for that person based on what that person needs or says that they want, because we all have that natural innate vision to take care of other people based on us, right? So for instance, like say you are a registered dietitian and you hate avocados. Does that mean you're never going to recommend somebody eats avocados for the health benefits of them because you hate them? Well, then you're doing a disservice to your clients, right? Because avocados are great for us for many different reasons. Or if you're, you know, a domestic violence advocate, like, are you going to say to people like, you should just never date again, right? Just avoid that whole, like, just never date again. Like, right. That might work for you and for your own sense of safety and protection, right? You may never choose to date again, which is perfectly fine, but that's not realistic for most people. So, and then, you know, cross that over into friendships and primary life partnerships, and like how best do you show up for somebody else and put yourself aside, because you have to do that in relationships. You have to do that. Like yes, you have to protect your own energy, and yes, and blah 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 blah, like all the other things that come along with it. But when somebody needs you to be there just for them, in order to have healthiness, you have to be able to do that. The best way to do that is to know yourself the best possible way, and to be open-minded. Like, yeah, your first instinct when I said cold works, your first thought was, well, I need to get naked and get in a cold shower. No, that's not your only option, right?
I blame influencers. No, I'm just kidding. I don't blame influencers. But you see everybody do the ice bath, right?
Yeah. And
Where my brain went.
and there is huge benefit to ice baths. Athletes have been using them for a very long time, right? To reduce inflammation, reduce muscle injury. Like, we know the health benefits. We know the mental health benefits of them now too, as a side effect of that, right? But when I said ice works, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, you could put like maybe like an ice pack on your chest. Now, I didn't communicate that with you. I just said ice works or cold works or whatever I said, right? So here I am thinking ice pack to the chest, and you're thinking naked in a cold shower. Like,
Can you tell the one of us who's extreme? Where my brain went, because, well, don't forgive me if I'm wrong, and I can always edit this too if needed. Don't you take cold showers?
Do I? Hell no.
I thought you did.
I might take a lukewarm shower in the summer when it's 95 degrees out.
That's what it was, because in VA, that's what I thought you said. I thought that's what you said.
There is no cold.
Yeah, but no.
No.
Well, and there's no lukewarm either. I don't give a shit if it's 80, 90 degrees outside. The fuck water's cranked if I'm in there.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I might put it a little bit cooler as I get used to it, but there is no cold.
Gotcha. Well, see, that's exactly why I thought of that. Because I'm like, well, Colleen takes cold showers. So, you know what I mean? And I know people that do that. Actually, like, the other reason probably why my brain went to that too is when I was pregnant, hot showers it either lowers your blood pressure or it raises your blood pressure. I can't remember which one, but you will fall down. Well, I was already struggling with preeclampsia at that point. Hello, you got to watch, so I remember cold lowers that. So I would have to, and I remember doing that. I'd get dizzy and have to turn the shower down, and I'd be like, "Fuck, it's cold," So it's probably exactly what my brain went. And
makes sense.
I'm gonna put myself on the chopping block here too, Colleen. You know this. I have been working very, very hard with this, right? And I know that this is one of my biggest steps that I need to take, just to keep myself going, right? Because I don't want to burn myself out again. I don't want to keep stressing myself out. Like, I really just need to, okay, Demi, you did that. Fuck yeah, we did that. Let's keep going. So in my brain, I'm thinking I need my whole body on board with me. Right. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I shock it completely? How do I stop this whole sensation all over my body at one time? And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that way, so I'm not going to self-sabotage myself right here. But, like, I think that that's something too, like, it's a level of, I really know this is an issue. I really need a solution. So that's something else that my brain went to too. And I hope for those of you that are watching this, I hope maybe you can sit there and think, do I do that too? Because I just explaining that, like, I know that we're just talking about coldness and how to, like, relax your body, but, like, I see this across the board with with a lot of different extremes,
Yeah.
Like, just with anything, just perspective, right? But go ahead, Colleen. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, I thought I cut you off.
No. No.
Yeah.
So I would say I will retract what I said earlier. My goal for this year, my biggest goal, is to build my skincare business.
Yes.
But I don't have any I don't have any like weekly goals, monthly goals, you know, just to increase the social media presence, increase the, you know, marketing and get our word out there of what we're making and what it's made of and the benefits of it and all that stuff. So that is my pretty much my only goal for 2026. Yeah, but that's just like a goal. Like it's not specific, structured.
But no, I think that's what a goal should be, though, right? Like, do you see how simple that was for Colleen? Goal, right? There's no, okay, so in order for me to increase this, I want to post 50 times a day. I'm over exaggerating, but like, I know that I have done this in my head, and I know that if I've done this, somebody else has done it, right? And then you start over exaggerating that. And like you said, to start this, you know, well, I don't want to like tie myself down to all these deadlines and shit like that. Like that just adds pressure. And then it overcomplicates this or allows room for your entire process, whatever it is you're doing to hit those goals, to be overcomplicated. You know?
Yeah.
Like I love it. That's simple and fucking easy. And I mean, for those of you that are curious about Colleen's skincare line, like I'm gonna like shamelessly plug for just a second. Like she was actually in stores over Christmas holiday, and I think
we still are. We're in 2 stores.
See, she's still there. Like I fucking love it. She's in stores.
We got to set up in a 3rd store, and then we're looking at. Well, my business partner is looking at contacting 2 more stores that we might potentially be able to put our stuff in too. So, and we created a new scent. And it's my most favorite scent. I'm going to be sending you some. So I'm going to be sending you some and then stuff for Josh too, that I just need the time to make it and then get it sent out to you. But our new scent is called Rooted Calm. It's my favorite scent so far out of any scent that we've created.
Okay, so like, what's it smell like? Like, I'm so curious. I love the name.
It's like soft. It's not bold. It's not soft. I mean, it's not bold. It's soft. It smells like a gentle flower and fresh laundry hanging out on a line, kind of. I don't know. It's just my favorite. My favorite scent so far.
I just got the goosebumps. So we know what that means, Colleen. I can't wait. And then I'll tell all of you about it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be making, so we have a fair coming up on Sunday. I'm going to be making our magnesium lotion is a huge hit with people. They love it. They're actually using it for deodorant too, which is pretty interesting. So I'm going to be making magnesium lotion. I'm going to be making pump lotion. I'm going to be making a body butter. That's all Rooted Calm. We have candles and we have soap. That's all Rooted Calm scented. So our full line of all of our products are going to be Rooted Calm. So, and then, you know, as this year goes on, we'll create more and more scents.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wait till you smell it. It's really good. I'm hoping to get it sent out to you next week. I have to make inventory this weekend because we have the fair coming up on Sunday. So
no rush at all, but I'm fucking excited.
Beard wash, beard balm, and beard conditioner that I'll be making for him that we're gonna add to. I don't know that I'll have it for this Sunday for the fair. But we're gonna have a full men's line.
Do you